So here's the Rhino Rack. It's the Pioneer Rhino Rack with a backbone on it. And as you can see, there's the main roof rack. Here's your backbone pieces. There's all your fixing bolts to fix it on. And then these are the racks that you have to drill into your roof in order to fit it into there, to bolt your backbone into these rack pieces. These are all the fittings that you get with it. So it comes with all the gear that you need pretty much, except for it doesn't come with the paint that you need to paint your holes once you've drilled into your roof. So I've marked these rack pieces, which one's the front, which is the front, which is the back. So I've just got a bit of masking tape and threw it on there, marked. So that's the front. You can tell which is the front, as you can see these two little round cut-out pieces here on the front. Whereas if you look on the back, they only have one cut-out piece. So if you, as I say, look on yours, look for the two round cut-out pieces. I marked which one's the driver and which one's the passenger side. To guide you so you know which one's which, the passenger side is the cutouts are on the left hand side, whereas on the driver's side they're on the right hand side. So that should help you out when you're figuring out. When you look at the instructions, it does not make it really clear. So these are the tools that you need for the job. I'm in Australia, so I went to Bunnings to get all this gear. If you're in the UK, you're probably going to be going to B&Q, and likewise if you're in the US, you're going to be going to Home Depot. I bought myself a decent pop rivet. It's a really good quality one. It was a little bit pricey, $120, but I wanted to get a decent one. Got myself some rust guard for when I drill into the roof. I want to paint it up as well. It's going to be hidden, but I certainly don't want it rusting, so I bought myself some rust guard, cold galvanized. I got myself a tiny little paintbrush. I got myself just some decent masking tape. I got myself some cutters to cut the plastic when I'm cutting the little plastic covers that you have on your roof. Got myself a decent little marker, so that'd be handy. You need a 5mm metal drill bit when you're drilling into your roof, so get yourself a brand new one of those. You certainly don't want to be slipping and marking your car. And I got a center punch. I thought that'll make it a little bit easier for marking exactly in the roof where I'm going to be drilling. And then I wanted to get something to put on my roof so that I can put all my tools on the roof and not mark the roof. So I found this oil trap mat. This was $13, really cheap. It's only a few mil thick, but it makes it easier. It'll enable me to throw this on the roof, and I can put all my tools on top of the roof and know that I'm not going to mark the roof. So all in all this gear that I bought, I ended up spending about $240 on all of this. You may have many of these tools already. I figured if I'm doing the job myself, I'm going to be saving myself a few $100s on fitting, so I can spend that few $100s on some nice tools. So hi guys, so the first thing that we want to do when we want to start fitting the roof rack is we've got to get the mat on the roof. We want to get the mat on the roof so that we don't damage the car. I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is getting a scratch on your roof as you're doing this. So I've put the mat on it, and I've spread out all my tools on top of the car, so don't have any worries or any dramas now if I accidentally drop my hammer, or when I put in my tools in here, it's not going to scratch my roof. So it's all ready. First part of the job that I've got to do is I've got to take this rubber trim piece off here. You can see it goes all the way along. So I've got to pull it off. But before I do it, I'm going to mark with my pen the point where I'm going to cut it. Now on this rubber trim piece, you'll see actually there's a black line here. You see this little black line here? So I'm going to be measuring 55 millimeters back from that, because that's going to be my stop point of where the bottom rack piece is going to be sitting in. So I'm just going to measure 55 mil on here. So I've got my marker. I'm measuring it back. I'll measure it back there. I'm just putting a marker in there, so nice and easy. So I've got my marked it on there. So now when I pull it out, I can see exactly where I need to cut it. So I'm going to get this trim piece off. Pretty easy to get this off. You just pull it off from this top corner here. Just get your fingers under it and pull it up. It's held by a little clipper underneath, so it's not too hard. You just need to leverage it out with your fingers. I say it's not too hard, and yeah, there you go, it comes out. So can you see that's the little clip piece that it clips into? So once that comes out, you can pull it out really easy. Roll all the way back. And then I can now get my cutters and I can chop across exactly where I marked it. I'm going to chop it across here. In fact, I don't need a lot of this piece. I'm going to be throwing a lot of this piece away, so it doesn't matter if you cut too far off. So I'm just going to chop it here, so I'm not mucking around. Okay, now set that aside. I need this for later because I will be using about that much of the piece, and all the rest of this I'm going to be throwing away. So leave it there, and then I'm just going to chop out, pull up here, cut it to where I marked it. Perfect. Now I can shove that back in. Now I'm ready to start the next step. Okay, so I've got my bottom rack. I just need to put the little plastic widgets on the end. So you can see this one here, it's got a little bit of a cutout piece on the end. That's the front piece. So I just need to shove this on. Simple as that. In place, and do the same for the back one. Push it in place, and you'll see the holes. They have a hole that goes straight through, so that's where I'm going to be marking. So this is now in place. Move my mat over a little bit. There we go. So that's where it's going to sit, and I cut, as I mentioned before, I cut from 55mm back from here. So now this is sitting perfectly in the right space for where I want it to go on the roof. So now what I've got to do is I've just put my pen through, and I need to mark through all of the holes, mark through so I can see exactly where I need to cut through into the car. So I just need to go through all of these and put a point on there. So when you're doing that, so do it into there, pretty straightforward. So when I pull it off, you'll actually see, when you do that, you can hardly see where your mark is. So I found it's a real pain to be able to see where it is. So I think the trick to marking this far better is not to actually use your pen, but just get your drill, put a small drill bit on it. So I'm using a what's that, 764, which is 2.78mm. So just a small drill bit on the drill, and if I just do some pilot drill holes through it, that would probably be a lot easier for marking where I need to cut into the roof. So just do a tiny mark like that. Make sure you're getting it as straight as possible. So do every one of these holes. Make sure you get it bang in the centre. And your two front ones. Make sure it's in place. So now when I pull this off, if you look, you can see the holes perfectly. See every hole. You can see every marking. So I know exactly where I'm going to drill now. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to drill with the smaller drill hole, so I get a nicer cut, because this is incredibly thick metal for the roof of your car. It's far thicker than you'd expect it to be. So I'm just going to give this a quick vacuum clean, and then we'll start drilling the holes. Okay, so now I've got all my marked points on the roof of where I need to drill. So I'm just going to slowly start drilling these through. So again, I'm going to be using just the smaller drill bit just to start my hole, and then I'm going to slowly make it bigger and work my way up to the 5mm. So I'll just do the first one here. Slowly drill in. And as soon as I've made a bit of a hole, I don't want to be accidentally punching all the way through and marking the paint on the car. So I've just got a piece of you can see a piece of cardboard here. So I'm just going to go through this. Now that I know that I've marked it, I know I'm in the right hole, so I can just drill it through, and I'll be able to feel it. I'll be able to feel it when I drill through. I'm feeling it now, it's cutting in. Take it out and see. You can see I'm pretty much through there. I'm going to hide the hole again when I do this. I'm nearly through. Okay, I'm going to get the vacuum clean. I'm just going to vacuum that out. Okay, so I'm now going to put these little covers over the holes, ready for me to do this. So I'm just going to put them all, cover every one of these in here. So there's quite a few of them. I'll put them all on. And there, so I need to cover up every last hole. So this is a bit of a protection for them as well. So I'll go cover them all up by one. And there. Here. And the last two. There we go here. And this one. Okay, so it's now ready for me to just start pop riveting this on. So I'll just get this ready and then we'll put it on. Okay, so I've pop riveted the first couple in. So I've pop riveted this one in and this one in. And we're just going to slowly go through and do the next one. Hard. That's good it in. Okay, then now I'll slowly go through and do the next ones. Okay, so I've now got all the pop rivets in there, so that bracket is now fully on. I now need to just put this little piece back in, so I'll need to just measure it out, cut it, so I need to cut it a little bit deeper so that it fits underneath here and hides the cut. And then it'll be ready to put the backbone on and then get ready to put the roof rack on. So as you can see, I've now put all of the rubber pieces, the insert back in. I've cut it down, put it to size, and it looks pretty perfect there. I've cleared off all the trash off the roof. As you can see, I have done the other side as well. So the other side's finished. So it's now just to get it's now time to get the backbone piece on the roof rack, attach it to those rack pieces, and we'll then put the roof rack on. So to put the roof backbone piece in, you got to put the little bolts in. Put them inside here and run them across. So you need two for the front and then two for the back. So get them all ready and then we'll go and get the backbone, put those ones over there to the other side, and then we'll get the backbone and we'll get it put in place. Okay, so I've now, as I say, I've got them on. I've put the little bolts in place. So these are 13 mil bolts, or nuts on the bolts. So I get them in place, take them all off, and then I can put the backbone in place. And take these off. In place. Pretty straightforward to get in place, so they're in place like that. Put them bolts back on. I'd see them finger tight at this point. So that's that in place. You can see you can move it around, you can adjust it a little bit. So I'll adjust it to where I want. I'm just going to get it pretty centralised. I think it's pretty fine there. Looks about right. We can always adjust it again later a little bit. And now I'll just tighten these all up. Two. Okay, that's in place. Now I'll do the same for the other side. Okay, so it's now ready just to get the roof rack on top of the vehicle now that we're on, so we'll just get up. Look, and put it in place. We'll put it in place, and then we'll now bolt it in place. So we've now got it in place. I just need to put the bolts in place. So there's 6 bolts on this. They're all 13 mil bolts. So there's one here, and one here, and you know the other 3 at the other side. So you put them out and just tighten them up from the bottom. I'll just get this done, and then it is pretty much completely finished. So the job is done. So I'll do that finger tight and go on to the next one. These are the last 2. All the other ones are in. You can see maybe we'll see the bolt from underneath there. There we go. See, that one's tightened up, so that is pretty much it. I just need to finish off, tighten them all up, and the job is done. So here's the finished product. It's the Toyota Hilux with the Rhino Rack Backbone Pioneer roof rack on it. I think it looks pretty good. It looks pretty sweet, and it's really handy roof rack. Super handy when you're carrying doors, timber, all kinds of gear. Just throw it on the roof. So I would say it's a bit of a pain to fit this because you've got to muck around with the pop riveting. But other than the pop riveting and getting that first rack on, everything else is super simple. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, give me a shout, put them in the comments bar. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.